Hello there and welcome. Yes, we are Geeks Assembled, and we have assembled here once again because we're going from one pirate thing to another, but this time it's in the world of Doctor Who, and it's with the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, and it's Enlightenment. So let's go over first to Texas Tim. Go ahead, Texas Tim.
This is an interesting story. The pirates aren't really pirates anyway, but it's got some really good ideas they have in this story. The idea of Eternals being so bored that all they can do is play with regular people, which they call ephemerals. You've got the resolution to the plot with the Guardians trying to kill the Doctor using Turlo, who's not really up to it. It was apparently a pretty beleaguered production with all the strikes that were going on at the time, and this is probably one of the only Doctor Who's that was both written and directed by women, which makes it interesting, especially from that time period. That kind of thing didn't happen a lot, I don't think. And but it's a good story. It's the Doctor's very good in it. He gets pretty angry when he finds out what's going on. The companions are used well. We finally get, Turlo stops being a bit of a villain and ends up staying with the Doctor and becoming his friend. So it's a good story. I think it holds up really well too. I mean, there's a special edition on the if you have the DVD, special edition. What do you call it? Director's cut with new effects and music. And it's very good. It's very well done, and it trims a little of the fat, so it moves pretty quick. So are we rating now?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
I'd give this story a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Thank you, Texas Tim. And let's go over to our very own Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
I really enjoyed the beautiful ships and the outer space sailboat race, and the fact that the ships actually look like ocean going, like water vessels instead of spaceships was really, really brilliant. And there was the captains, the Eternals were awesome. I mean, just manipulative, fun, great interplay, and the crew, where the Fifth Doctor and Turlo meet them down below decks and find out really what's been going on is awesome. I really love the Eternal dressing Tegan up in this gorgeous frock. That's why I'm dressed up in my gorgeous frock. And I really think that Tegan was a good foil for the Eternal. I mean, she'd been possessed and manipulated and brainwashed and all these things, and she became a worthy adversary for these people. And I love an EVA. I love an EVA. I got to tell you, when the Fifth Doctor jumps off the ship with his little space helmet without a mask. I mean, what a space helmet. And goes and pushes off. It's like, what a thrill. That's my stuff. That's the good stuff anyway. So, yeah, let me give it I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's pretty amazing to me, and because actually I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because of the EVA. I'll bump it up because
we're gone up half a point.
Yep.
A 9 out of 10. Thank you, Susan. And let's head on over to Germany to Beef Dad. Go ahead, Beef Dad.
Yeah, this was an interesting story. As Tim said, it suffered really badly during production. I mean, it was delayed for about 3 months because of electrician strikes and because of availability of actors. They had to recast. Even though they'd started it, they had to recast and redo it. So really speaking, yeah, it was a fairly cursed production, but it the finished product is just absolutely superb. It's brilliant. Peter Davison, this is one of my favourite Peter Davison stories. Janet Fielding playing Tegan, lovely. Turlough is probably my least favourite companion of all time. Every time I see him, I have to grit my teeth to stop myself from swearing at the television screen. I really could not abide Turlough when he was unpleasant. I couldn't abide Turlough when he was supposedly back on the doctor's side. Didn't like him as a companion at all. It just, nothing connected. And a lot of people around at the time felt the same. Cyril Luckham as the White Guardian was brilliant. Valentine Dial as the Black Guardian is just a piece of magic. The man was a genius. Keith Bowen as Stryker, known for doing the television series The Man at the Top in England. And Christopher Brown, who played Mariner, I thought was wonderful with the way he got himself involved with Tegan. And that relationship there, you felt so sorry for the guy. You really did. Yeah, my heart went out to him. I really felt sorry for him. And of course, the pirate ship had to have a female pirate captain. Well, who better than Nurse Gladys Emanuel? Linda Barron, brilliant, absolutely brilliant in it. She never ever fails to deliver, that woman. Be it comedy, be it piracy. She made me laugh in this, but then you also thought to yourself, Jesus, what a cow. But no, I absolutely loved this. And for me, it gets a 9 out of 10. It would have got a 10 out of 10, but it's got Turlough in it.
Oh, poor Turlough. A 9 out of 10, thank you, Beef Dad. Now let's head on over to Alex. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. It's one of the few stories I was able to show my roommates. They didn't like the special effects, but that's okay. It was known at the time, unfortunately, they didn't have a big budget, and as Beef Dad said, you have the problem with the strikes and all that. I've watched this again and again. It's challenging for giving Tegan a little bit more to do. She's not, she's got more lines. I was never a big fan of Turlough, but I think that, unfortunately, he really wasn't given a lot to do with his character except for the beginning story and his last story, even though it was a very good idea to maybe have a companion that was not so loyal to the Doctor at first. Plus, he's a male companion. Plus, they wanted to make a change from Adric. And I always did like Davidson. The minute I saw Davison as the Doctor, I liked him. I know he was in All Creatures Great and Small and other series that he was doing. I also like the ups and the downs that he portrayed in the story. As Susan said, I like the fact they made it into sail ships, not spaceships. The Eternals was a very good idea. I hope they bring that back. The Guardians was a very good idea. Probably with a little bit more editing, maybe they could have made that gel a little better in the series, but it was a very good idea, and Valentine is always good, has a wonderful voice. So the female captain was very good, even though I think she played it a little over the top, but she's supposed to. And the other thing, too, is the other issue I've had with the fifth Doctor, as they say, the Davison Doctor, is the women actually have a lot to do during his era of the show. It's just not shown as much, and it's a shame they couldn't have done more because, it was starting to get the stereotype of the women didn't have a lot to do, and they did. and they were strong characters as well. Like I said, in terms of I remember the roommates saying, well, the special effects aren't that good. It's a nice try. It's bold. I'll give it credit for that. If they could have done something better with the editing, if they could have had more budget and maybe toned down Turlo a little bit, because at one point he's screaming and panicking and carrying on. Admittedly, he had a reason to do it, but I think they dwelled on it a little too long in the show, plus with the cliffhanger as well. When you get to the end, the doctor's great. He's cool. He's calm. He's collected. He's in charge. And, you can't scare him. It's very hard to scare him. You can't worry him. And I just love it at the end when, you have the solution and Turlo makes the right choice. And the doctor's like, I knew it. No big deal to me. So for all that, I'll give it a 8.8. It almost makes it. Almost.
An 8.8. Thank you, Alex. Now let's see what Jason has to say. Go ahead, Jason.
It was an interesting story. I mean, I don't know how many times I ended up watching this one, but definitely great performance by Peter Davison as always, and gotta feel sorry for Tolo being mocked by the Black Audience for the past 3 stories, and this was being the last story for the 3 trilogies of the Black Guardian, and yeah, this was definitely an interesting one. I mean, how with these alien force of, now I forgot what it was called, to the point that, you appeal in this ship, and apparently I guess they appeal, because if you're not in there, they don't exist, which that sounds a bit familiar with the Red Dwarf later on that appealed with Legion one, but yeah, that reminded me a bit with Red Dwarf. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. I mean, yeah, the facts wasn't that great. Tolo wasn't the best, but you had to feel sorry for him being mocked by the Black Guardian in a way. I mean, Tolo couldn't figure out which side he was really on. It was either he was on the Black Guardian side or he was on the Doctor side. But in a way, he was trying to fight back, and which he really did in the end. And Tegan got to feel sorry for her in a way. I mean, she was just, Marion was just trying to get through her head to the point of just reading her thoughts. It was just interesting with these guys, just reading their thoughts. Linda Barron's character was definitely an interesting villain. I don't think no one mentioned about the eyepiece on the ship that had a connection to Black Guardian in a way. Yeah, that was interesting. Also, Linda Barron also appeared in another Doctor Who story, way in the future of Doctor Who story of Closing Time. So, yeah, definitely great actors in this one. Isn't much to say, saying that my rating for it is an 8.5 out of 10.
An 8.5. Oh, all the scores seem to be pretty high. Let's see if Craig can keep it up. Let's see what Craig has to say. I can't hear you, Craig.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know, I took my earpiece out. But this was a really interesting story. And I love the whole Black Guardian trilogy. The way they used Turlo as well in that, like the whole manipulation side of stuff was really interesting. I agree with what Beef Dad said about Turlo as a character. The sound effects in this, I mean, they were so good as well, and the music score, just those eerie sounds, and the fact that they were like ethereal beings, and that you really got that sense of like a chilling eeriness of them, and I think that they played that part so well. It's one of my favorite stories in that trilogy. And what Tim said, if ever you do get a chance to see the special edition version, then I definitely recommend it. I'm going to give it a 10.
A 10. Oh, thank you, Craig. Now let's see. Let's go over to Lee if he's there. Are you there, Lee?
Lee calling Earth. Lee calling Earth. Can you hear me?
Coming in, Earth.
Oh, good. Technology. What we're talking about? Enlightenment. Yes. It's one of my favourite stories of that era. As people know, Davison is not my favourite Doctor, but this is one of the outstanding ones of that season for me personally. I do like this one. Just the idea of the sailing ships riding the solar winds, and the idea of this race of the internals. I do love that idea of this race, and I hope they do bring something back like that in the series. Tegan, brilliant. I've always loved Tegan as a companion. She's a ballsy character, and she's always lit up the screen when she's been on it. I disagree with what you say about Taylor, though. I quite like Taylor. Yes, I can see you, Beef Dad, pulling that face. He's got the bad end of the stick because he was made out to be an assassin to begin with, and he was under the power of the Black Guardian and all like that. And he never got out of in people's eyes that he was a bad guy after defeating the Black Guardian. I think that's where he fell flat on his face, really. Linda Barron as Captain Rack, brilliant. As you say, has been mentioned, she appeared in Closing Time, but she also sang the theme song to the Gunfighters. The ballad, was it The Last Chance Saloon, which everybody loves. And you say you got Keith Barron. He's a brilliant comedic actor, great striker, also known for Duty Free comedy program. Also, nobody's mentioned Captain Rack's right-hand man. And I can't remember his name, but he was the lead singer of.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, he was lead singer of the British band Imagination back in the 1980s.
His name is Lee John.
Lee John, that was it.
It's got 3 E's in it.
Yeah, I think that might have been JNT's casting someone who was big in the other media, shall we say. But all in all, it's a good story. It stands up to date. As you say, the special edition does add more to it. I would say what Craig says. Please watch the special edition. It's shorter because it cuts out all the crap. It is short. It's about 78 minutes long. One thing I want to know, I mean, this has been bugging me. Why do they wear space suits when you don't need them? I don't get that.
Why do they what?
Because you have to have a spacesuit to go into to do an extravehicular activity. Just so you know.
Exactly what Susan said.
I must have missed that. Me and Tim must have got off at that time. But yeah, it's just been bugging me that. But all in all, yeah, it's a good story. As you say, Black and White Guard, the Guardians, Valentine and Cyril, brilliant to see them back again. What can I say? What do I give it? I'm going to give it a 9.
A 9, thank you, Lee. And actually, I thought you were going to start singing at one point. Why didn't you give us a bit of The Last Chance Saloon? Go on. Well, I'll just say, you take over, Lee. Go ahead.
I'm wearing the wrong clothes.
But you can still sing it.
Oh, no. I've got to put the full dress on.
Oh, you've got to get into character.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, right.
Maybe next time.
Fair enough, yeah. But now to my review. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I think it's one of the better Peter Davison ones. I think the Fifth Doctor is very good. Linda Barron is fantastic in everything she does. She has. I can't think of a bad part she's in, even though I don't like that episode of Closing Time or whatever it was she appeared in. She was still fantastic in that. She was still fantastic in that episode. She's fantastic in this episode. I don't hate Turlough like Beef Dad does. I don't particularly like Turlo, but I don't hate him. He's fine. Tegan is great in this. I think she's underrated. She's so underrated. She really is. She's a great companion. I agree with Craig and Lee. It's best to watch the special edition because it has the enhanced CGI effects, and it's far better. It really is. It just makes it more watchable, because I watched the original version. Oh God, it's a few years back now, and even then, it looked really quite bad, to be honest. But watch the new version, the special edition, and it's great. And the director of this, Fiona Cumming, actually only died. What, about 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago she died? She only died quite recently. So yeah, I think overall I really like this story. I think it's one of the better Peter Davison stories. All the acting's great, like I said, Linda Barron, the Fifth Doctor, and it's just brilliant. I'm going to give it a 9. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. So I'm going to throw the floor open to everyone to speak.
Well, did anybody mention that Linda Barron is the infamous singer of the Battle of the Last Chance Saloon from the Gunfighters?
Yeah.
We've just been talking about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get up.
No, that's fine.
I would say in defense of Turlo, I mean, he's not my favorite either, but I would say that Mark Strickson is very good in this episode because he's a character that's in an impossible position because he's been hired to kill the Doctor, and he's come to realize that the Doctor's not really a bad guy, and he's on the wrong team, and he's trying to get out of it, and the Guardian's always trying to manipulate him to get his job done, and he won't do it now, and it's really good when you get to the final or towards the end of it, and he's stuck in that room, and he finally just screams out for the Doctor to help him because like any companion would, because he needs help, and he doesn't want to be in that position anymore. Strickson is really good in this. He's over the top hysterical for most of the story, but he plays the part really well. It's I think after these stories that the character becomes a bit redundant because they don't really know what to do with him.
Mm.
Does anybody else have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean the second in commands on both sides, the male ship and the female captain. I mean, very good as well. As I said, I think, what was it, the singer we were talking about that was the head of Imagination or whatever? And I think he was saying that he was confused as to how he should play it in the story, but I thought he did a great job.
He looked like he was miming.
Yeah, a little bit, but he still was good. But like I said,
yeah, he used to mime on top of the pops as well.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have all those strikes and everything, maybe they, might have. That's the other thing too. We don't know how much was on the cutting room floor, if at all.
I think sometimes very good actors will come up and do an episode. Back in the day, though, they do an episode of Doctor Who, and they thought it was supposed to be camp and over the top, so they would do it that way. Like, what is his name? The guy in he's in the War Games. James Breed. James Breed. Very good actor. If you see him in anything else, but almost every one of his appearances in Doctor Who, he's always over the top. And it's like, I think they just kind of think they're supposed to play it that way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah, I agree. Does anybody else have anything to say?
Once again, thanks for being part of Pirate Week on Geeks Assembled. This has been fun.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So there's no... Yeah, Lee's gone again. He's having terrible internet problems. So no one else has anything to say then? That's it?
I'm trying to remember. I know my younger half-brothers read the book, and I'm trying to see if I remember anything from the book version. I think they added at least 5 more scenes, but I'm trying to remember.
Harry would know.
Harry
would know, wouldn't he, Susan?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Harry would know. We need Harry.
I mean, we're lucky this episode looks as good as it does, because to be fair, like Beef Dad pointed out, this whole series was beleaguered by strikes. I mean, they had to do a remount to finish Terminus, the story before this one, and they lost a serial from the end of the series, which was going to be the Dalek one that they ended up holding over till the next year. So they had a lot of trouble getting this series made.
Well, this particular story finished 3 months late.
Did it?
3 months.
late?
Yeah, 3 months delayed in the making because of all the aggravation over the strikes, causing recasting and reshooting. So it ended up being 3 months behind schedule.
So it really did go through the works then, didn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
really
yeah.
did
It
go
was
through the works.
it was dreadful at the time, yeah.
But it's a very good episode considering all the problems, you know.
That's the incredible thing that, yeah, it turned out to be such a brilliant, apart from Mark Turlow. Yeah. But yeah, it turned out to be a really excellent story.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to add? Lee, if you're there.
I'm here.
Do you have anything else to add?
I agree with Texas about the character of Turlow is misunderstood, to be honest. And afterwards, not given him enough to do in the other stories after he became a proper companion.
It's because he wasn't popular with the viewers at the time.
Yeah, because he was made unpopular to begin with, and he never got out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't meant to be likable, was he? He was meant to be the bad guy, you know.
Yeah.
So viewers were bound to not like him because he's trying to kill the Doctor.
Yeah.
Pity he didn't do it, though, because it was Davidson, wasn't it?
Oh.
I mean, it was a big, bold choice that they were trying to do. And as I said, they had to have a change from Adric. But, and like I said, there's also the episode's also kind of funny for the dialogue as well. When the Doctor and Turlow are talking to the original crew, I guess they changed because of all the strike and all that. And I guess, in naval jargon, I guess the Doctor is the ship's cook. And it's kind of funny how Turlow's sitting there laughing at him. Just laughing at the Doctor for that scene when the Doctor goes, "Oh, wait, the cook." So I guess that's an in-joke or British in-joke or however you want to phrase it, but or a pun. I'm not quite sure. But I thought even that was amusing. I said, "Wow, I can't believe it." They're trying to set up the story and they set up this pun or this bad joke, whatever it is. But that's the other thing that the roommates noticed as well. They said, "Wow, the ebb and the flow in this story, is different than most of the other ones we've seen." And they like the fact that the rest of the cast had plenty to do, that the Doctor wasn't given as much to do. So I don't know if that's a Doctor light episode or if they just decided to carry the story along because the other members had more to do, the other cast members and stuff. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Helen.
definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it. I think that's your lot. I'd like to thank everybody here for joining me. I'd like to thank you for watching. Remember, do tell us below what you think about this episode of Doctor Who Enlightenment. Hit that subscribe button. Look after yourself. Take care. And we'll see you next time.